I now recognize myself for 5 minutes. Mr. Jaskowitz, in your testimony you say that widespread adoption of new energy technologies has been slow due to economic, government, and marketplace barriers. Can you explain what some of these prohibitive policies are that prevent widespread adoption of new energy technologies, and what can we do to ensure that new technologies such as hydraulic fracturing with horizontal drilling and enhanced oil recovery succeed?
A lot of the technologies that are being used today are under question, specifically the use of water in the fracking water. What I'd like to do, though, Chairman, if you don't mind, is come back with some specific examples of that. In our industry, we are using technologies such as 3D animation, 3D printing, and other technologies of that nature, sub-arc welding, to help move this along. So I would like, if you don't mind, to come back and answer that question with some more detail.
Okay, we'd be pleased to get something submitted in writing later. Thank you. For any one of you, each of you have been fortunate to experience success and business growth as a result of domestic energy production here in the U.S. However, I'm concerned that this continued growth may not be guaranteed, and the risk of future government overregulation could threaten this economic progress we've seen. Can you tell me any concerns you may have over potential EPA regulations of hydraulic fracturing fluid and the potential impact it or similar roadblocks to fracking could have on your business?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would say that the industry is strongly vested in conducting economically sound practices, and that anything that might be contrary to that, they understand is definitely going to create a negative force in their ability to operate. So the industry has done a great deal to, number one, both disclose the fluid contents that they're using in the fracturing process through the fracfocus.org website, and also is making, I think, significant strides in finding organic chemicals that are common in nature and not considered toxic to use in the fracturing process. So there's a lot of research and development going on in that area, and I think that they understand that they're strongly vested in moving that forward as rapidly as technology advances will permit.
Anyone else on that question? Okay, if not, I'll move on to the next one. Mr. Mack, once again, in your testimony you say that at least 1 in 3 manufacturing jobs is created outside of energy producing areas, and that growth in non-producing states has been as great or greater than in energy producing states. Can you tell us what types of manufacturing jobs are being created in these places outside of the energy producing areas?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. The energy operations requires an incredibly diverse variety of different kinds of equipment and component and supplies that are used in the energy development and operations process. For example, construction equipment of all kinds is a critical component to preparing drill sites, building pipelines, and preparing for storage facilities and so forth. All of the components that are used in energy operations, such as flanges, seals, hoses, couplings, all kinds of electronic equipment for exploration, and there's just such the incredible thing about this boom is that it has so many tendrils into the general economy, because energy operations use an almost infinite variety of components, materials, and equipment. Hydraulic fracturing sand is another example, little of which is produced in the actual energy operating areas, but are rather in places like Wisconsin and Minnesota. So those are some specific examples.
Okay, and Ms. Williams, what kinds of things can you explain to the average person who may not understand can be made from natural gas as a feedstock that ends up as a final consumer product that people may not know where it came from?
Well, thank you for that question. I think there's many people in America who don't understand that. So we take the natural gas or the natural gas liquids, and we actually break it into different components. And then we take those components and do chemistry on them and make the seat cushions that you're sitting on, the paints that are on the wall, the electronic components in your iPads. So pharmaceuticals, that is what our main raw material is and source for all of the things that we make around the world, actually. You can take different kinds of feedstocks, but in the U.S. that has been the traditional material that is used for many, many years.
And with fabrics in particular, synthetic fabrics, what do you do there? Or what does your company do there?
We actually are not big in synthetic fabrics. We do supply coatings and materials that go on to synthetic materials, but we are very large in many of the different spaces. But you could make synthetic fabrics from
Okay.
raw materials.
All right, thank you very much. And now I'd like to recognize the ranking member, Mr. Holt.